Folks, you're watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in sweltering Southern California. That guy out there is
Matt Metris in moderately humid Rochester, New York.
moderately humid. You mean you can actually go outside and not melt?
Well, you can. You choose not to because it's still kind of ugly, but
Yeah.
it's mid 80s today, but the humidity is a pain.
Yeah. Today it's actually it hasn't been as warm as it has been in the last couple of days because we've had dry heat. But it's like right now it is 84 degrees, and you can bet the humidity's 84. If the humidity reaches 45% in California, that feels like New York, but it doesn't, because I've lived in San Antonio. That's oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. Folks, today we've got Bruxo number 5. Not to be confused with Mambo number 5.
Or Chanel number 5.
Or Chanel number 5, for that matter. And this is, again, the entire Bruxo line, which is just gorgeous so far. Every one of these has been a hit. And this one is one plant only. The one, this number 4 is an ensemble. This one is a Tobala. And you and I have had Tobalas before, I think.
Yeah, I believe we have. It's a cool looking plant too. It doesn't look, the leaves are much wider than the traditional Espadine Blue Weber kind of thing that we're used to. So it's just neat to look at.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine. Well, it's a Tobala, but and I don't want to go too far and say. I think Patatorum is one that you and I talked about that it's used in San Antonio as ground cover. I mean, every bank has Patatorum, and they're gorgeous gray, blue gray, and they grow a stem that is, I think, if you look through my Instagram, I have black and white pictures of in fact, a particular bank I used to drive by all the time, and I had to stop and take pictures of it because it was just so impressive, when they go to seed, and sadly, nobody picks up those seeds, nobody harvests them or anything like that because you're in a concrete parking lot, but this Tobala is very attractive to look at and very delicious as a plant as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just scored the seal on my wax. As you can see, this comes in wax and a real cork, folks, and lots of bubbles. Oh, okay. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. All right.
All right.
A little bit in my Stasel Jarrito that I normally use for Mezcal. Oh, you're using your fancy handy dandy.
Fancy. I got to get used to the pour line on this. I pour a little bit excessive in here, but that's okay. This is the Denver and Liley agave glass.
If somebody sent me a link to that, and I think a lot more people are actually, what's nice to see is that people are experimenting with different glassware now, instead of the tried and true, and that's cool. Everybody should have different glasses. It's your toolkit, right?
Yeah.
I got to wash mine after every use. I have some of you may have seen my executive case where I've got all my tasting gear, and I even have a stave of the inside of a barrel. Most people have never seen what a charred barrel looks like.
Yeah.
And, so I pull that out whenever I do tastings or demos and stuff, and it just this is what the inside of a barrel looks like.
This glass seems to be gaining popularity in some of the online circles in which we travel.
Yes.
The tequila community online is relatively small, so we all end up in the same places all the time.
Yeah, bumping into each other. They've become places for either learning or rather cliquish. So
yeah,
if you're smart, you just lurk.
Exactly.
Like I do. Oh, beautiful lakes and tears. Look at that.
That is nice.
That's pretty. And they're actually streaming too. Not only are they not only are they clinging, but they're streaming as well. So now this is going to be one plant only. It does come in at 46 ABV, 46%, which is 92, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and these are 10 to 12-year-old plants that we're going to see in here.
Oh, okay. So they've been around for a while. Do they wild harvest these? This particular plant? I mean, it looks like they've done most of them as a wild harvest.
Yeah, it does. So wild mountain sourced. Although it says / right now they are buying because it's a very dry season.
Oh, see, I love the transparency on that website. It gives you all that information, and it's good to have that, folks, because normally, and I know I've mentioned this on a couple of other tastings as well that you and I've done, and Alex and myself. Normally, you see that holographic stamp right there on every bottle of mezcal. That's got to be there by law. However, what that is if you snap that, that tag, it supposedly takes you to what is the Comercam or CRM or whatever they're calling themselves. It's their known list, like there is in tequila. The only problem is now you're getting that error on there because there's the mezcal industry is in disarray at this point. Nobody knows who too many chiefs, not enough Indians, I guess. I don't know. But in any case, until they figure out their political problems, this was a great source of information because sometimes the label just doesn't have enough info, and if and some people don't have access to the website, and sometimes the website's in Spanish, right? But this would give you like everything you wanted to know, and they give you coordinates, and technically speaking, they're only needed. The only necessity is to give you the minimal information. But a lot of brands were very forthcoming with information in Bruxo. So it's good to have more information, the better, because that way you can educate yourself and decide whether you like Tobalas or you like Cruchets or you like Espadines only. I don't know. Now, this isn't as bright as some of the other plants. It's deeper.
Definitely. And obviously the plant aroma itself is different, in the way that different musical instruments playing the same note are going to make different sounds. Timbre, I think is what we call it.
That's very good.
Timbre.
Wow, I didn't know you were a musician. you and Jim should talk.
Yeah.
Jim's in a band in Ohio, so.
Yeah,
so is Felipe.
I below averagely play instruments.
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't play instruments. I listen to music, and lately I haven't even listened to that except for my classical music because I'm kind of gearing up for my next big tome, the Mozart method. Okay, now as this opens up, I get even deeper plant, maybe mixed with a little ethanol, but
just a little bit.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's presenting whatever. This is a really deep plant. There's a heaviness to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not a ton else coming out of here. No smoke. I'm not getting any smoke. This is cooked in a conical oven underground, so it's possible we could get some smoke. Cypress wood again. We've seen a couple with cypress in this series and a couple with pine, and the cypress ones have been a little more muted when it comes to the smokiness.
And now, is that in the cooking or is that in the vat itself?
Oh, you're right. That's in the fermentation.
Okay, in the fermentation.
No, I was wrong. I'm completely wrong. It's pine used in the smoking. So.
Okay, so that's what I was getting at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's a hint of mintiness that I think you detected that, I think in the Espadine, the very first one, you mentioned that. And that's what I'm getting. I'm getting like a menthol, like a pine, like a mint, but it's at the bottom. And
it takes a minute to get to. The plant is really first and foremost here, but I totally pick up on that.
Yeah. Each one of these folks has evolved in your glass. They're dipped in wax. There's not a whole lot of escapage, or leakage. Don't worry about when you have them delivered from Old Town. I know that Old Town carries this whole line. So when you open it, let it breathe, and be with it when it opens, because as it continues to bloom, it evolves. The last one, number 4. I gotta figure out what number we're on. Number 4 kept evolving and evolving.
It really did.
Glass.
Yeah.
course, that was an ensemble. I'm ready to dive in
Let's
if you
do
are.
it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh, wow. It's such a different experience compared to the 4 that we just did. It's much thinner on the mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I noticed right away, but there's plant, there's fruit, there's spiciness of pepper, no ethanol at all. For
But a
me,
great finish. It's got like a
great
meaty
finish.
finish.
But at 46%, it's not burning on the way down like the way you might expect it to when you're drinking a higher proof spirit. But man, this is such a nice blend of aromas in here.
Yeah, there's the pepper and it's that spicy, you're right. It's kind of a thinner mouthfeel. You can kind of tell because of the way that the legs and tears didn't they clung and then they streamed. Whereas with the ensemble, it took a while for it to start to stream because you've got 3 different plants, so you're going to get 3 different types of tears coalescing together. But this one, it is one-sided, but there's more. The flavor has way more layers in it than the aroma. The aroma is really kind of one-sided, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm getting some residual spearmint on my tongue. It's really delightful.
Wow. Now see this one, as it's a deeper, heavier nose and deeper, heavier flavor profile. I think you really actually could make a cocktail with this. I'm just not exactly sure what it is because I'm not a cocktail guy. I know Alex in the past has said that with some mezcals, he likes to. He says anything that you can do with gin, you can replace it with a mezcal. I said, yeah, but I asked him, and maybe I need a second opinion. I asked him. I said, well, yeah, but gin is like isn't that herbal? Is that kind of? He goes, well, it's a botanical. So could you? I know that the website has its own recipes, I think.
Yeah. I mean, gins have such a wide spectrum of profiles as well, the way we experience, in the agave world. So there's a lot of different things you could substitute out. I'm not much of a gin drinker myself. I had bad experiences when I was younger, but
me too.
Started getting back into gin this summer, and we got one that was bright purple and mixed it with this elderflower tonic. It's amazing. So there's really some cool things. You could try this with a tonic water, something just light, like a soda, and maybe some bitters or something like that. But I could go with a little bit of pineapple juice in here, maybe. I'm just brainstorming of what I might throw in there to try it.
So pineapple would be a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
I think, versus this. So what you would do is you would have something that would compare and contrast as opposed to complement. Something heavier. I was thinking something deeper. I don't know. I'm not a cocktail guy, so that's why I rely on you guys because you guys have, I'm sure somewhere along in the process you're thinking, what would I mix this with if I was going to present it to somebody, who's in a gateway, and wants to know more about mezcal, but isn't ready for the, and this doesn't have that punch that I've had other mezcals that are at higher proofs that are more rustic, more ancestral. Those are, we fight this sometimes. This one is really just very balanced.
I'm thinking if we went lighter with a mixer and then did like a chili powder rim or something, that could that would be really neat.
Okay.
Those tend to, pineapple with a chili rim is a good go-to for that kind of spicy sweet mix. So that could be cool. I'll have to play around with it. The one thing that may be problematic for making a cocktail out of it is the retail price on this is $125. Yeah, that might put a stop to that, especially when you're doing taste testing at the bar manager.
Never mind. Move along. Nothing to see here.
It is currently on sale at Old Town for $110. So there's that.
Wow. Do we know the production, the output of the? By the way, if you read the information on the website, it's all um, it's all upfront. I think they use individual palenques for each of these. They'll give you the name of the
Hmm.
master distiller. You know that. Um, I'm going to have to read this because I'm pretty sure that they give you the name of the Receta Original Maestro Cándido Reyes. So yeah, they name the distiller. It's his recipe. Um, you get a lot number. I guess this one is I don't know if it's S392. Uh, does it say, for instance, what their output is?
Yeah, and the output is very small, 200 liters per month. So we're seeing, as we go up in numbers here in this line, we're seeing smaller productions.
Right.
And each of these is coming from different villages and towns in Oaxaca as well. So we're just sort of getting a geographical flight of tasting.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could do a whole flight of Brujo and be all over Oaxaca in the growing regions and the distillation regions and get a good idea of what the microclimates are doing to the plants.
Yeah.
That's why Oaxaca is so popular right now. It's just really hot up until COVID to go and visit because of the microclimates and the difficulty in reaching some of these palenques, which is what their distillery is called in the mezcal industry. They're called palenques, and some are building more modern palenques. There's a few major global distillers that are investing in mezcal now. So it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
But right now, thankfully, there's still some that are not mass produced, that are small batch. I mean, that's small. That's a small
It
amount.
doesn't get much smaller than this and still be economically viable. So it's
Yes.
right on the cusp, I think.
I'm hoping that I'm pretty sure that the way these folks have done business now, Brujo was primarily in Europe. Matt and I did our first Brujo tasting it was almost like 5 years ago now. It was like right in your freshman year with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird because we had gotten it from the UK. So I don't know how they got us bottles, but they got us different bottles. So we realized that we didn't know anything about them. There was no POS, there was nothing, and probably not even a website. And by the time we got these bottles and we went on the air, we went on camera, we realized that we had two separate bottles. And so it was probably the most, I tell Matt it's the most awkward tasting that he and I ever did. So
it was 2017 we did that. I just looked it up. May of 2017.
Did you? Which screen did you use? Screen number 3 or screen number 2?
This one. I gotta look at the chart. 15. It was screen number 3.
Screen number 3. But anyway, I'm going to go there, man. Brand
absolutely.
Nominee here in the Tobala version. This is an extremely well done example of what a Tobala plant is and what it does. Again, like I said in the previous tasting number 4, I said this is your box of Crayola crayons with your basic colors, and this will give you a really good indication of what the big deal is with mezcal. And if you're experimenting, or maybe you're bored with the mezcals you got, maybe you want to go a little bit higher than Gateway, which is 80 proof. I highly recommend this entire line. And the folks in the UK who are watching this, you guys are already know. So whatever you're doing with this, if you're watching us on YouTube, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you're doing, how you're getting it, where you're tasting it, what good mezcalerias there are in the UK, wherever you are, or even in Germany for that matter. But that's our take on Tobala number 5. I keep thinking of Mambo number 5, man. Maybe we should, if we do, we got to pay royalties.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah. We have no budget for that, okay? And YouTube would kill us. But please, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, hit the notification bell, because we stream every month. You get all of it at the beginning of the month, so you can binge watch all the tastings we did the month before. subscribe unless you're, worried about commitment. And whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.